Namaste. I'm glad to have you here with us again today on another segment of Be Here Now. BEHEARNOW. For those who have just come into the program, listening at this particular one at least, this program, Be Here Now, is about learning how to listen inwardly. Really listen in our heart of hearts to the resonance about what we see and hear in our interactions with all of life. I hope this is helping as we go along. I'm certainly enjoying being here with you each week. I hope it has some reward for you as well. It'll be particularly helpful this week if you have pen and paper with you, as I'm going to bring to bear 3 questions that you can ask yourself on a daily basis that will absolutely change your life if you stick with it for a while. It's based on the idea that the only real guru is found inward, heard in the voice of silence. Of course, that real guru is the real you, not the you that we've come to understand we are, that one that isn't good enough or so small, actually when our fear is of our immensity, not our smallness. Anyhow, what we're about to engage, the inward journey, is a form of I'll call it prayer. It's actually going inward that will virtually guarantee that what you hear will be answered. What you want will be answered because you'll be committing to it. That is, unless you sabotage it by neither listening nor demonstrating what you hear. It all begins with learning how to go inward in order to hear the voice that speaks only in silence. So here we go. Or should I say HEAR we go. Here we go. Okay, either way. In part, the testimony you are about to become familiar with is put before you to instill the desire to go inward into silence, the only language that truth speaks. As a contemplative mystic, Thomas Keating tells us, all else is nothing but a bad translation. It is within where you will come to know more fully your real identity and live true only to that. Otherwise, you'll continue to live in a world of illusion and find your identity outside of yourself rather than the truth of what you really are. I have recommended this particular method to a number of people as a way of finding one's daily guidance directly from within instead of from other external authorities. And in each instance, they have attained some powerful truth for themselves when used as directed. The questions I'm going to provide to you are simple, and the potential answers are not something you think about. For regular thinking will only manufacture a canned, superficial, intellectual response biased by our opinions and beliefs, which I hope you know by now are severe limitations to living true to our being. Contrarily, what we are looking for is a loving response that comes from a much deeper place than the intellect, through your hands onto paper in a process called automatic writing, or on your computer through automatic typing, I suppose we could say. It's tantamount to recording intuition and inspiration, or as some would call it, the Word. Believe me, you won't need an interpreter to engage the response or to gauge it for you, even though it more than likely will seem highly unusual at first. But don't be at all concerned with this unusual nature. This nature is what signifies its truth for you, and you will be enlightened by its profound simplicity. A word of caution. Be patient and utilize an attitude similar to the one used by sitting meditation. By all means, let go of all judgment to any possible answer. You don't need to ask anything but the 3 questions I'll share with you. Your deepest self already knows what's really on your mind and will answer accordingly. Placing yourself in the hands of your own divine consciousness is what provides the answers, as you will soon find out. So merely go within with a heart open to serving thy will. Go within yourself with an attitude that says, I'm here, ready to listen, self. Speak that I may truly hear. Okay, here's the first question. Write it down. What, Lord, are you saying to my heart? What, Lord, are you saying to my heart? Put your pen on your paper. Then listen without judgment and simply record what you have been given without any embellishments from your intellect. You will know when this answer is complete by the gap in creative energy that ensues. You give thanks when you're finished with it, and you go on to question 2. Remember, listen and let the pen write itself, or let your fingers write on through the keys onto your screen. Question number 2. How, Lord, am I to respond to this? How, Lord, am I to respond to this? You follow the same directions we use in number 1 in their entirety. You ask the question, you patiently listen, and record without embellishment, and then give thanks when finished. The third question, what, Lord, do you particularly want me to remember? You follow the directions for number 1 in their entirety. Here it is again. What, Lord, do you particularly want me to remember? Ask the question, patiently listen, record without embellishment, and then give thanks when finished. If this process fails to provide you with anything useful at first, or even anything at all, don't despair. No. I remember teaching this up in Ohio, in a conference room of a Unity church there in Ohio. And 2 young women particularly, I recall, in one of the workshops on a Saturday morning. Nothing came at all. They just sat there and waited and fumed and fussed and squirmed. And it was something to watch. And I went over to them quietly and I said, shh, be quiet, just sit and listen. Be patient. Well, even by the end of that hour, they had not gotten a thing. We discussed things that other people had gotten. They shook their head, sometimes in utter disbelief, these 2 young women. They looked dismayed, and afterwards I had a private talk with them, and I said, no, it's not about getting something, it's about showing up. It's about being persistent there, being there, showing up every day to listen, and soon it will open up. Well, long story short, about 2 weeks later, I got an email from each of them, a couple of days apart, where they said to me, my God, am I glad I was patient. I'm glad I stuck to it. I cannot believe what's been coming through me. It's the most amazing influence on my life I've ever had. I don't know how I've lived without it all these years. It has changed my life completely. So being persistent, showing up, listening is the key. In loving truth, your truth, it's simply there for the awareness you bring to it. That's always been the case, and it always will be the case. It just takes a willingness to get out of your own way and let your own divine consciousness speak to you in the silence of your being. This, by the way, I tend to call unceasing prayer. To me, the only real prayer is the intimacy, the communion we have with our inner self, our highest being, our divine consciousness that each of us is. When we go within and hear that still small voice, we become aware of the truth. It's there for the hearing. But we need to stay aware and demonstrate what it is that comes to the awareness. You see, when we do it that way, when we take on our life that way each day, each of our prayers comes through to us, not in something we've said, but in something we've discerned as a truth for us. And when we demonstrate them, guess what? They're fulfilled. Each one is fulfilled. Every single prayer is fulfilled. And you'll find out what real prayer is. Now, just in case the word God or Lord troubles you, particularly if you take it as an outer authority, let me tell you this. When I was taught this method by way back in Arkansas, Little Rock, long ago, the teacher said to us, in case you're troubled by this word Lord, let me pose this to you. Think of Lord as L''ORD. Which means the law of order. The law of order says that whatever it is you listen to, as long as you demonstrate that, it will come into being. If you listen to ego consciousness, it is ego that will be fulfilled. If you listen to spiritual consciousness, your own divine voice, it is that which will be fulfilled. So pay attention to that as you go through this process. The bottom line is that this is an exercise that builds commitment to spiritual intimacy, the real form of prayer, a disciplined approach to living a life of beauty. And so, folks, I hope this helps some. I hope you also will write me a note if this becomes troublesome to you, or you get some good things. Share with me. I'll guide you along the way. Just write me at BeHereNow, BeHearnow 77 @gmail.com. I'll also put you on the list for my Creation Spirit newsletter if you like, and I won't share that information with anyone else. Do also join me on my blog and my website, creationspirit.net. I'd love to see you on my blog, and I'll put these 3 questions on the blog, so in case you've forgotten them. But in any case, I hope to see you here next week. I love you. Namaste.